Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely demystify exactly how the networks powering the world's most advanced clouds and AI supercomputers actually scale. I mean, every single time you stream a movie or query an AI, you are relying on a brilliant mathematical architecture, and we're going to unpack the whole shebang right now. We'll explore exactly what replaced legacy data center designs and see how modern spine-leaf fabrics allow us to seamlessly connect hundreds of thousands of machines. Let's dive in. So, this whole story actually starts with a massive shift in behavior that completely broke the old way of doing things. Today, 70 to 80% of all data center traffic travels east to west. Basically, that means the vast majority of data is moving laterally, right between servers within the exact same facility, rather than north to south between a client out on the internet and a server. This massive inversion was driven by things like server virtualization, distributed databases, and modern microservices constantly chatting with one another. Now, to understand why that east-to-west shift was such a crisis, you really have to picture the legacy architecture. The old network hierarchy was built specifically for vertical north-south traffic. You had access switches connected to servers, which fed up to distribution switches, which finally connected to massive core switches. So if a virtualized workload needed to talk to a neighboring server just one row over, that data was forced to jump up and down incredibly inefficiently across multiple layers just to reach its destination. It was highly illogical for modern traffic. But here's the real kicker. The fatal flaw of this old three-tier system was how it prevented catastrophic network loops. Engineers had to rely on the spanning tree protocol, which mathematically elected a root bridge and literally physically blocked redundant links just to keep traffic from endlessly recirculating. Think about what that means. Organizations were permanently wasting exactly 50% of the physical bandwidth they had paid for. Half of your installed capacity was just sitting there in standby mode. No way you can scale to modern cloud demands with that kind of bottleneck. Now, you might be thinking this took some modern 2010s cloud genius to solve, right? Actually, scratch that. The breakthrough solution for modern cloud scaling wasn't new at all. It was derived directly from a mathematical paper on telephone switches published way back in 1953 by a Bell Labs engineer named Charles Close. He essentially proved that a multi-stage interconnection fabric built from smaller, uniform switches could achieve incredible, non-blocking performance without needing one giant monolithic switch. In that 1953 math, that is exactly what gives us today's spine-leaf topology. It's this highly practical, two-tier implementation of the Close architecture. The design is super simple but strict. Your leaf switches connect directly to your servers and storage. Then, spine switches provide the interconnection fabric between those leaf switches. But here is the golden rule. Leaves never connect to other leaves, and spines never connect to other spines. This brilliant spatial layout forms a fully meshed web of 100% active links. It entirely eliminates the need to block connections like that old spanning tree protocol did. When you put these two models side by side, it is absolutely night and day. On one side, you have the legacy three-tier model. Unpredictable hop counts, variable path lengths depending on where your server happens to live, and literally half of your active links blocked. But on the other side, the modern spine-leaf close fabric operates with pure mathematical precision. Every single link is active and load-balanced simultaneously using equal-cost multipath routing. It creates this massive, highly efficient pool of fully utilized bandwidth. And that brings us to the absolute magic number of the spine-leaf architecture, 2. In this beautifully deterministic setup, any server can reach any other server in exactly 2 hops. The data goes from its local leaf switch up to a spine switch and straight down to the destination leaf switch. That's it. This predictable, bounded hop count provides the guaranteed low latency that modern, highly distributed workloads absolutely demand. You can perfectly, mathematically calculate your worst-case scenario. The scaling formula? Growing the network. Okay, so we have this perfect two-tier, two-hop architecture, but how do we actually grow this into a massive hyperscale data center? Scaling this fabric is beautifully straightforward, mostly because it avoids that dreaded forklift upgrade where you have to literally rip out old core hardware. It's just a modular formula. Need more capacity for servers? Simply add more leaf switches without touching the spine layer at all. Need more total bisection bandwidth across the network? Just add more spine switches without changing the leaf configurations. This lets organizations scale capacity linearly, perfectly matching their capital expenditure to their actual workload growth. But we have to acknowledge the physical reality of scaling beyond just the math on a whiteboard. Real network engineers have to physically cable these massive uniform fabrics. When you're running tens of thousands of optical connections, having a modular, predictable design isn't just about bandwidth. It's an absolute operational lifesaver. It ensures that the physical installation follows a strict, uniform blueprint, which drastically reduces human error out on the data center floor. Well, eventually, even this elegant model hits physical limits based on the number of ports a single switch has. So when hyperscale giants like Google, Microsoft, and Meta hit the port limits of a single spine layer, what do? They don't break the architecture, they extend it. They simply add a third tier, called a superspine, to interconnect pods of spine-leaf fabrics. Sure, the hop count increases slightly to 4, but the architecture maintains that exact same non-blocking predictability, allowing the whole network to scale up to literally millions of server ports. The AI traffic transformation. Now, what's really interesting is what happens when this infinitely scalable fabric meets the voracious, unprecedented appetite of artificial intelligence. Everything we just learned about scale, it has to be totally reevaluated. See, historically, a spine-leaf fabric could be designed with a 3-to-1 oversubscription ratio for general compute. We could safely assume not every server is blasting data at full speed simultaneously, which saves millions in hardware costs. But AI training workloads? They completely shatter this assumption. During AI training, large models require a strict 1-to-1 non-blocking fabric. Why? Because during gradient synchronization, every single GPU in a massive cluster must transmit and receive data at the exact same time at line rate. And this brings us to a massive bottleneck, known as the all-reduce barrier. In distributed AI training, tens of thousands of GPUs have to exchange their locally computed gradients with every other GPU. This operation literally cannot complete until the absolute slowest participant finishes. It's the tyranny of the tail. If just one optical cable or switch buffer slows down out of 10,000 GPUs, your entire massive training job stalls, wasting an incredibly expensive compute time. Because of this intense synchronization, standard networking metrics just don't cut it anymore. Get this, a shockingly microscopic 0.1% packet loss rate can reduce your entire cluster's useful throughput by 10 to 30%. In conventional networking, a dropped packet is just quickly retransmitted. No big deal. In AI training, a dropped packet means every single GPU waits. This makes lossless transport an absolutely mandatory design requirement for modern AI scale. So to protect these massive GPU investments, network engineers optimize for something called goodput, which is the actual useful work that advances the AI model. To pull this off requires highly specific engineering. We're talking lossless RoCv2 transport to guarantee delivery, ultra-fast telemetry to catch traffic spikes in milliseconds, and precise tuning of congestion controls like ECN and PFC, which are essentially smart traffic lights for your data. They even use rail-optimized topologies that completely isolate traffic, keeping congestion from ever spreading across the fabric. So we have mathematically perfected how to scale the data network. But in doing so, we've run headfirst into a wall of thermodynamics. A single modern NVIDIA NVL72 AI rack dissipates over 130 kilowatts of power. To put that in perspective for you, legacy air cooling maxes out around 30 to 40 kilowatts. These super dense, perfectly scaled networks draw so much power, they completely shatter traditional air cooling limits, meaning direct-to-chip liquid cooling is now absolutely mandatory. And that brings us to the ultimate constraint of the modern era. The networking math from 1953 allowed us to build these perfectly scaled, non-blocking fabrics connecting millions of endpoints. But today, the binding constraint isn't the network anymore. It's the power grid. It's a pretty provocative problem to leave you with at the end of this explainer. We've solved the mathematics to connect millions of machines seamlessly, but the next great infrastructure frontier is simply generating the hundreds of megawatts of power needed to actually turn them on. Thanks for joining me.